feel like I've been transported back to my middle school days, and that's totally fine. I don't know, just looking at it from Aragog's perspective, if you see what I mean. We got some tension here, we got some mystery there, we're trying to figure things out, and then it's like, bam, we're in the Chamber of Secrets, it's happening. Hi guys, welcome back to Muggles and Mocha. We took a quick week off. I apologize for that, but that's because I decided to break our streak. And what I mean by that is we're joining 2 chapters together today. And that's the first time we have done it with this second book, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. We're going to be talking about chapters 14 and 15 today because I thought that the information in those chapters and what all went on just tied so nicely together. So, 2 chapters today. If you're new here, welcome to our Harry Potter book club, Muggles and Mocha, where we're going through every single Harry Potter book and covering every single chapter, except for sometimes we do too. This book club is connected to my editing website, madisonkdarby.com, where I offer different editing services, and you should stick around and join our Muggles and Mocha community. We have some social media set up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and you can find all of that through my website also. And guys, we're stepping it up around here. I have invested in some lighting, so maybe it won't get super dark and then bright and then dark as the sun just does whatever it wants to do. So yeah, we've got some lighting. Maybe that'll make these videos better quality. And I just got a video camera also. I need to go get a memory card and then also overcome my education barrier with video cameras so I can get that underway and start using those for our Muggles and Mocha videos. So we're on our way up, people. And actually, if you follow me on Instagram and Facebook, you'll know that I have started a new book series also, and it is the Percy Jackson book series. I feel like I've been transported back to my middle school days, and that's totally fine. I'm really excited to read it because I've heard just so much good stuff about it from you guys. I've gotten a lot of comments talking about your experience with this series, and honestly, it has been so long since I have just dove headfirst into a book series, and I feel like maybe this is one I can do that with, since there are so many books and so many spin-off series. I don't know, I'm really excited to get started, and I'm considering making videos about these as well. Not as in-depth as our Harry Potter ones, obviously, but maybe after I finish each book doing a book review of it. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. And I actually am going to be releasing a video, and actually it should have already been released, so if you haven't seen it yet, check it out wherever it is linked. But it's going to be about what I know about the Percy Jackson series so far, what I know going in, just so you can see where my knowledge is on that. So keep a lookout for that video also. I have some tea for today in my good old tea mug, and it is some English breakfast there. I love English breakfast tea, you guys, and it goes so well with our Harry Potter series, doesn't it? But we have a bunch of material to break down, so without further ado, let's dive in. We're picking up in chapter 14, Cornelius Fudge, and where we left off, Harry has seen Riddle's memory and thinks that Hagrid may be involved with the Chamber of Secrets based on what he witnessed there. Harry tells Ron and Hermione what he saw, and we see his thoughts on Hagrid, that he thinks that maybe he might have been involved, but that if he was, it was an accident, which I think is what we're all thinking also, because it's Hagrid, come on. We also get more of a look at what Harry thinks of Riddle, but I won't spend too much time on that because that is what last week was all about. If you didn't get a chance, head over to my website and you can check out the article that I wrote on that. It's all about Harry and Voldemort. And it was a blast because I always love talking about Harry and Voldemort, which I guess I'm pretty lucky since that is what the book series is about. So we're definitely going to have more about them. In this part of the book, Harry defends Tom Riddle to Ron, saying that the reason that he turned in Hagrid was because they were going to close down Hogwarts, which is something that Harry can really relate to. So this just further emphasizes the connection that these two characters have. So time moves on, and the trio decides not to ask Hagrid about this and just approach him directly unless there are any more attacks, which really makes you see how much they don't want it to be Hagrid. Because if it were anyone else, would you really wait for another attack to happen before approaching that person? You know what I mean? So it just shows how much they think of Hagrid and how much they don't want it to be him, which I think is how we're all feeling at this point. The kids pick their next school subjects. And once again, I totally wish I could have taken arithmancy or at least learned more about it. It's all about the magical properties of numbers, which I don't like math. But it doesn't seem like that's what's going on here. But I do have a question for you. If you could have taken any Hogwarts class, what would it have been and why? For me, I have always been interested in charms, so I think charms would have been my class. I don't know, there's just so much that goes on in there, a lot of cool spells that are learned, and I really like Professor Flitwick, so yeah, it might have been charms for me. But we get a lot more world building here as Hogwarts and the wizarding world and careers and stuff like that, just what it takes in becoming a mature witch or wizard involves, and that's more thoroughly explained here. I do want to read this treasure of a line from Percy Weasley. When he's talking to Harry about whatever school subjects Harry's going to choose, he says, "It's never too early to think about the future, so I'd recommend divination." And it's like, Percy. But soon after this, disaster strikes and Harry gets robbed. And honestly, I don't know how this doesn't happen more often, because it doesn't seem like there are very many security measures at all within the houses, except for the whole guys can't go into the girls' dormitory thing. That's the only thing we really see, so I guess Gryffindors are also just trustworthy people. We realize that Tom Riddle's diary is gone, and there's literally an attack the day after the diary is stolen. So no coincidence there. They realize that the person who stole the book is probably from Gryffindor, which is just a huge shock. This book, it just pulls you all over the place. I feel like when you're reading it, you never know what's going on until it's like all together. I feel like this book is really good about that. Next day, Harry hears this invisible voice again for the first time in months, and Hermione realizes what's up and goes to the library. And can I just say again, I really wish Harry would have told Dumbledore he was hearing a disembodied voice going around, because if a 12-year-old can figure it out, I feel like Dumbledore would have if he had known that Harry was hearing this. The last words we hear Hermione say before she gets petrified is, "I've got to go to the library," which is fitting for her. I mean, she doesn't die, thankfully, but you know, fitting last words for Hermione. Right before the Quidditch match is about to start, Harry is considering the fact that he's thankful that everybody is out of Hogwarts and at the Quidditch match, that everyone is safe, and it makes him feel a lot better. And y'all, I had chills during this whole scene, from right before the Quidditch match is about to start to Professor McGonagall coming and getting Harry and then Ron and taking them with her, and just like knowing what they're about to find. And Harry's thought about that, well, everyone's safe, and knowing where Hermione was. Good part of the book. The Quidditch match is canceled because of a double attack, which is Hermione and Penelope Clearwater, who is Percy Weasley's girlfriend. And of course, Harry and Ron are in shock. But before we move forward, I kind of want to talk about the basilisk for a moment. Like, how does it do it? How does it do what it does? Like, it travels through the plumbing, obviously, but when it ever like comes out to attack, is it like sitting there in the hallway, or does it kind of like, you know, like peek its head out? Like, it's huge. And then like the voice and what it's saying, which I know it's a snake, like I know it's an animal, but it's going around saying like kill, rip, tear. So does it think that like if it succeeds in killing someone that it's gonna eat them? Like, what's the end game for the snake? Is it just following orders, like going around and staring at people and then leaving? Or does it have a hope of like a meal at the end of all of this? These are the things that I wonder about when I read Harry Potter. After this double attack, the security at Hogwarts is even more stringent, of course. No more wandering around by yourself, no evening activities. Even though almost all these attacks happen during the day, no evening activities. So they have to be chaperoned everywhere they go, and they just can't go anywhere by themselves. But are Harry and Ron gonna listen to that? Of course not, because they've got stuff to do. They go to visit Hagrid using the invisibility cloak and dodging teachers, and I think this is our first invisibility cloak sighting of the book, by the way. They visit Hagrid, who has a stinking crossbow aimed at him, and question, who do you think Hagrid thought was coming? Like, honestly, like, is he just a ball of nerves right now? Like, was he gonna shoot the Minister of Magic? Like, who was this meant for, and what does he think's going to happen? I think that he's probably just so terrified of being accused again and having to go back to Azkaban that he's willing to kind of, you know, do whatever it takes within reason. He's obviously nervous, and that plays into that also. But I think he's just afraid of going back to Azkaban. But Harry and Ron don't even get to talk to him before more people arrive. We have Dumbledore and Fudge, who tells Hagrid that because of all these attacks and the Chamber of Secrets being opened again, there's just too much suspicion around him, and they're going to need to take him in. Which, once again, I wish I knew more about the situation with Hagrid and when he was expelled. Because he was expelled, but obviously he was like acquitted. Like, he was allowed to stick around and work there without too much suspicion, I guess. I don't know. Obviously, I think it was Dumbledore's doing. I just wish I knew more details about what went into that. Then, who else should come but Lucius Malfoy? Oh my gosh, I can't stand this man. And he announces that the governors have voted that Dumbledore isn't fit to keep leading the school right now, which is so stupid, and Fudge thinks so too. But I don't want to spend too much time on Lucius Malfoy because I don't like him. But I will say, you know, I think that it's twofold what Lucius Malfoy is doing here, because we find out that he has threatened the governors to get their signatures. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. One being, he doesn't like Dumbledore. Dumbledore obviously doesn't trust him, and seems like someone who would just constantly be getting in the way. So it's a way to get Dumbledore out of the school. But second, we gotta remember, Lucius Malfoy knows what's going on with the Chamber of Secrets. He knows who's responsible, being Lord Voldemort, and he knows all about what's happening with the attacks. And we know that he wants it to continue. He told Draco to leave the heir of Slytherin alone to do whatever he needed to do and just stay out of the way so that he could work efficiently. So he doesn't want anything to get in the way of that. He's the guy who planted this diary in the first place. This is mostly his fault, and he's doing whatever he can to kind of ensure it keeps going. Oh my gosh, this man, I cannot stand him. Everything bad just happens in quick succession. Dumbledore and Hagrid are now both gone, and they leave Harry and Ron some vague instructions right before they're swept away. And Hagrid's is to follow the spiders, which is the last thing that Ron wants to hear. This brings us to chapter 15, Aragog, which has been one of my favorite chapters so far. I had such a fun time reading this one. There was so much action, so much we learn. It's a good chapter, but we're gonna get to that. Then Harry realizes that the spiders are going toward the Forbidden Forest, of course. They decide to go down that night, take Fang with them, and this is Ron's first time in the Forbidden Forest, which I think is really cool. This scene of Harry and Ron in the Forbidden Forest was so good. I think J.K. Rowling did an excellent job writing it. It's super tense, but then it's funny, it's exciting. We get to see the Ford Anglia again, and then you've got the spiders, of course. I really liked this scene. And I guess the Ford Anglia, doesn't have to run on gas because it's just been trundling around through the forest, and it's okay. After they've been wandering through the woods for a little bit, we're flung into the action. The spiders pick them up and carry them to Hagrid's monster. I put monster because it's not the heir of Slytherin's monster, as everyone thinks. It is a monster. It's Aragog, which is an Acromantula. And by the way, quick note, my article this week is all about Aragog and Acromantulas in general. I love learning about new magical creatures and just delving into them a little bit more, their origins, how they function within the wizarding world, where we see them in the Harry Potter books. So if that's something you're interested in, you can find that in the description box below and check that out. So Harry and Ron meet Aragog, and honestly, I loved hearing Aragog's speech here. Y'all are gonna think I'm crazy because I know he's a big, scary spider, but he just seemed so human when he talked about Hagrid. I thought about him more as a character that we're used to seeing in these books rather than a creature. Acromantulas are just so intelligent, obviously, and you can tell that Aragog really cares about Hagrid. And I think one of the perks of Hagrid working at Hogwarts, especially right after he would have been expelled, is that he got to visit Aragog. You know, he found him a wife. He's responsible for Aragog's whole family, which is really amazing if you think about it. I know it's scary because his family kind of isn't the best in how they want to kill humans and eat them, but I don't know, just looking at it from Aragog's perspective, if you see what I mean, Hagrid means a lot to him, and he even calls him his good friend and a good man, and I don't know, I had forgotten just how in-depth Aragog went into his story, and it was fun to read about. Harry does find out that Aragog wasn't responsible for the death of the girl, that Hagrid isn't involved in this, and that they have nothing to do with the Chamber of Secrets. But not only that, Aragog and Acromantulas in general are terrified of the monster that is in the Chamber of Secrets, to the point that they won't even speak its name. And I love how we kind of get a parallel to Voldemort here. Like, wizards in the human world, if you want to say that, won't say Voldemort's name because they're so terrified of him. And then Acromantulas, in more of the creature side of things, won't say the basilisk's name, which is the heir of Slytherin's, Voldemort's monster. So I don't know, you just have like a lot of cool connections there that I liked reading about this time around. But all the fun and games don't last forever, and Harry and Ron realize that they might not make it out alive. And look, I'm not going to defend Aragog that much, but I don't want us to view him in too bad of a light. I really enjoyed him as a character, and he's just providing for his family, right? Like, this is what they eat. I don't think he meant it out of malice, but still, it happened, and Harry and Ron are on the run. And can I just say also, Harry has been such a trooper in this scene. Like, so brave and courageous, like talking to Aragog after he's been carried through the forest by a huge spider. And then in the book, he actually says that he's willing to go down fighting, like ready to die fighting. And if you could put a line with Harry Potter, I think that would be it. Like, he's so good in high pressure situations and just has this drive and will to survive, and he doesn't let fear stop him from doing that. The boys are saved by the good old Fort Anglia, and honestly, I can't remember what happens to it after this point. I need to look that up. So from this experience, Ron is physically ill, which I can understand. They realize that Hagrid truly is innocent, and that's the main thing that they get out of this experience. And funnily enough, you know, since we know who Riddle is, the boys don't really blame Riddle for this. They kind of view him as someone else who would have been just duped and thinking that Hagrid was responsible when he wasn't, that it wasn't like a frame job yet. So they get back to the dormitory, and right before this chapter ends, they have another epiphany. Here's our last couple of paragraphs from chapter 15. He was becoming drowsy when what seemed like their very last hope occurred to him, and he suddenly sat bolt upright. "Ron," he hissed through the dark. "Ron!" Ron woke with a yelp like fangs, stared wildly around, and saw Harry. "Ron, that girl who died." "Aragog said she was found in a bathroom," said Harry, ignoring Neville's snuffling snores from the corner. "What if she never left the bathroom? What if she's still there?" Ron rubbed his eyes, frowning through the moonlight, and then he understood too. "You don't think? Not Moaning Myrtle." And man, what a reveal. Like, oh my gosh, that's just such a cool connection. And like, I know we have 60 pages left of this book, but we're like steamrolling toward the climax now. I feel like this book, the way that it flows, it just goes like build, build, build. Like, we got some tension here, we got some mystery there, we're trying to figure things out, and then it's like, bam, we're in the Chamber of Secrets, it's happening. And you know what the next stinking chapter is called? The Chamber of Secrets. Like, we are going there, and we're now about to be on the roller coaster that is the end of this book. And I am really, really excited. And you know what? Not to zoom too far ahead, but I'm really excited for the third book. I know we still have a couple of more chapters to go before we get there, but I've read these first two books more than the rest, maybe because they're shorter. I don't know. But I haven't read the others as much for some reason. And the third book is so good. I'm very excited. But first, we're finishing the Chamber of Secrets, and it is about to get real next week. That's about all I have for today, guys. Thanks for joining in, Muggles and Mocha. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And again, all of my social media is available on my website. You can follow that and just keep up with all of our Muggles and Mocha news or any other MadisonKdarby.com news to see what things are happening there. Again, I'm going to have a video about the new series I'm starting, which is the Percy Jackson and the Olympians. That is what the series is called. I guess I should know that before I get started. But these videos that I'll make for this will probably be sporadic. It'll be just as I finish the books. So keep an eye out for those. So be sure to read chapter 16. And I will see you guys next week for the Chamber of Secrets. Have a good week. Bye.